Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the GD Report. I am D.
And I'm G.
It's good to see everyone again today. We are mourning the loss of Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg this morning, and just reflecting on her career and reflecting on the way she was a tireless advocate for the underprivileged, the underserved, and for women's rights as well. So definitely mourn that loss. We're going to do something a little bit different today because you've gotten used to hearing the words of G and the words of D, and some people may think our words are too many, but we're going to actually give you the words of other people today. So let's kick it off with Mr. G. Why don't you read a quote for us?
So this is Senator Cory Gardner, back when we had a Supreme Court vacancy. I think we're too close to the election. The president who is elected in November should be the one who makes this decision.
This is Senator John Cornyn from Texas in 2016. I believe the American people deserve to have a voice in the election of the next Supreme Court justice. And the best way to ensure that happens is to have the Senate consider a nomination made by the next president.
This is Senator Ted Cruz of Texas. It has been 80 years since a Supreme Court vacancy was nominated and confirmed in an election year. There is a long tradition that you don't do this in an election year.
Senator Lindsey Graham from South Carolina. If an opening comes in the last year of President Trump's term and the primary process has started, we'll wait till the next election, and you can hold me to that.
Senator Marco Rubio from Florida. I don't think we should be moving on a nominee in the last year of this president's term. I would say that if it was a Republican president.
Senator James Inhofe from the great state of Oklahoma. It makes the current presidential election all the more important, as not only are the next 4 years in play, but an entire generation of Americans will be impacted by the balance of the court and its ruling. I will oppose this nomination as I firmly believe we must let the people decide the Supreme Court's future.
Senator Chuck Grassley of Iowa. A lifetime appointment that could dramatically impact individual freedoms and change the direction of the court for at least a generation is too important to get bogged down in politics. The American people shouldn't be denied a voice.
Senator Joni Ernst, Republican from Iowa. We will see what the people say this fall, and our next president, regardless of party, will be making that nomination.
Senator Thom Tillis, Republican of North Carolina. Vice President Biden's remarks may have been voiced in 1992, but they are entirely applicable to 2016. The campaign is already underway. It is essential to the institution of the Senate and to the very health of our republic to not launch our nation into a partisan, divisive confirmation battle during the very same time the American people are casting their ballots to elect our next president.
Senator David Perdue, Republican of Georgia. The very balance of our nation's highest court is in serious jeopardy. As a member of the Senate Judiciary Committee, I will do everything in my power to encourage the President and Senate leadership not to start this process until we hear from the American people.
Senator Tim Scott, Republican of South Carolina. The next president must nominate successor that upholds Constitution, founding principles.
Senator Ron Johnson, Republican of Wisconsin. I strongly agree that the American people should decide the future direction of the Supreme Court by their votes for president and the majority party in the United States Senate.
Senator Pat Toomey, Republican from Pennsylvania. The next court appointment should be made by the newly elected president.
Senator Richard Burr, Republican of North Carolina. In this election year, the American people will have an opportunity to have their say in the future direction of our country. For this reason, I believe the vacancy left open by Justice Antonin Scalia should not be filled until there is a new president.
Senator Roy Blunt, Republican of Missouri. The Senate should not confirm a new Supreme Court justice until we have a new president.
Senator John Hooven, Republican of North Dakota. There is 80 years of precedent for not nominating and confirming a new justice of the Supreme Court in the final year of a president's term so that people can have a say in this very important decision.
Senator Rob Portman, Republican of Ohio. I believe the best thing for the country is to trust the American people to weigh in on who should make a lifetime appointment that could reshape the Supreme Court for generations. This wouldn't be unusual. It is common practice for the Senate to stop acting on lifetime appointments during the last year of a presidential term, and it's been nearly 80 years since any president was permitted to immediately fill a vacancy that arose in a presidential election year. Pointing out all the hypocrisy won't get Democrats very far in what will be one of the most contentious nomination fights in the court's history, but it should at least clarify who they're dealing with.
And finally, Senator Mitch McConnell, Majority Leader, who said of the vacancy left with the passing of Antonin Scalia in March of 2016, this vacancy should not be filled until we have a new president. The American people should have a voice in the election of their next Supreme Court justice. As you can see here, we've got a long list of Republicans on the record making their case as to why a Supreme Court vacancy should be held open for, at that time, 10 months. 10 months of our justice system sitting idly with decisions when they came down 4-4 that no precedent would be set, but the lower court's ruling would be valid. And so this particular Supreme Court seat was held open by Senator McConnell and Republicans for over 400 days by the time Neil Gorsuch was seated. G-Man, thoughts?
Well, just the hypocrisy, astounds me. I mean, maybe astound isn't the right word, because I figured if something like this happened, they would do just what they're saying they're going to do. They're going to fill this seat. They're going to rush it through. And, I saw a bumper sticker the other day that seems to be appropriate. It said, when the power of love overcomes the love of power, then the world will be at peace. And right now, what we've got in the Republican Party is the love of power at all costs.
Yeah, I think this is going to, it's the last gasp effort of the party to hold on to power when the majority of the country is against them. You look at things like when the question is asked in the appropriate way, things like when surveys are asked about Roe versus Wade and should it be overturned, it almost always comes back 65 to 70% of the country believes it should not be overturned.
Right.
Yet this party is looking to install political people into these justice seats to try to be able to rule over the majority of the country with these rulings. And the way that they've held both these last two seats hostage, and the last seat hostage, looks like they're going to do the same by just rushing this through. Like you said, the best word is hypocrisy, and it really knows no end.
Yeah.
There'll be a lot of wrangling, and there'll be a lot of what ifs and what aboutisms, and when I said this, I actually meant that. But as we just read, the record's pretty clear.
Yep.
And the statements are pretty clear. And it basically, if you want to distill it all down, it comes down to, if someone is president from the opposite party that I am, I'm going to do everything I can to block that nominee. But those same rules that I just applied and precedent I just said don't apply to Republicans or presidents from my party, which means we have two sets of rules.
Yep. Yeah, and they don't, the thing about the Republicans is they don't really care to play by the rules. They want to rewrite their own playbook and go by that. And if they don't get the outcome they're looking for, they want to do whatever they can to manipulate it. And, that's why there's gerrymandering in a lot of the Republican states, because they want to hold on to power, and that's an easy way to do it.
Yeah, and that's why we still see them cling to the electoral college, where someone can win the popular vote by 3 million votes and not be elected. I think if the number I heard is right, if Republicans were to win this time with the electoral college, that would mean 4 of the last 5 elections that they've won have been without the popular vote.
Right.
And they're clinging to these kinds of things. And you mentioned it; they don't have any conscience about what they're doing. So I think it sets us up for, obviously, the next 45 days are going to be intense. We'll
Yep.
see if McConnell tries. Trump's already said he's going to send a nominee up probably this week. That happens, we'll be in the 30s of days at that point. So if it's in the next 7 days, we'll be down to 38 days before the election. And from there, they'll have to do a full confirmation process. So it'll be the fastest confirmation process in history if they try to do it before the election. Another option would be for McConnell to try to do it during the lame duck session. I wouldn't put anything past McConnell, but to do something that monumental in a lame duck session, especially after the voters have spoken, especially if the Democrats win a majority, I don't see how the Democrats can't help but go nuclear, and you'll see the filibuster go. You'll see potential additions to the Supreme Court. You'll see statehood for D.C. and Puerto Rico, and it's gotten to that point where Republicans have pushed it there.
Yeah, I agree. So, when the Republicans look in the mirror in 5 years and they wonder how we got to where we are, they can point the finger right at themselves because, they're the ones that have brought us right to where we are. And I place a lot of the blame on guys like Sean Hannity and Rush Limbaugh. They're really the ones driving this train. And, I remember listening to Rush back in the day where he said there's no compromise, that compromise is for the weak, and, it's our way or the highway. And, that mentality really has, fueled the Tea Party, and they've kind of pushed the Republicans to the far right. And as we've talked in the past, extremism on either side is not good for the country.
Well, yeah, I agree with you on most cases. The problem I see sometimes, though, with that is that it does create the false dichotomy that the extremists on the left are as bad as the extremists on the right. And there are definitely some really far leftists, but sometimes it's like they compare people on the right, like Hannity, you mentioned, they want to compare people at Charlottesville to people like Bernie Sanders. And it's like, okay, you've got white supremacists, and then you've got someone who wants to give everybody health care. And so it's not an equal equation there when we talk about it, but we'll see how it goes. I think now's the time for progressives and progressive-minded people who care about the Constitution, to stand up. And if it's going to be just another case of a kangaroo court where we've seen how Mitch McConnell runs the Senate, and I fully expect him to jam somebody through.
Yep, I do too.
I fully expect that to happen. But if I was the Democratic Party, I would use every stall tactic I could. I wouldn't vote on a spending bill. If we have to shut the government down, I wouldn't vote on anything.
Yep. I think that at this point, the Democrats have to take a hard line. They're in a weak position, but they have to do whatever they can to thwart this administration for the next 45 days, and basically stand up and say, hey, you guys, screwed us out of one Supreme Court position. Now you're about to do the same thing. That's assuming that Joe Biden wins. So, if it was good for 2016 to hold off for 10 months, then why not wait another 45 days and see if Trump wins? And if Trump does win, and he wins legitimately, and there's not a lot of controversy, then put somebody up. And then you don't look like, you're just, being the bully on the playground and wanting to jam your stuff through.
Yeah, I totally agree. If they have that much confidence that Trump's going to win, why don't they wait? Which leads me to the point that they don't have confidence he's going to win.
Yeah. And that's another podcast for us.
Yeah, absolutely. So remind everybody, we always talk about it. Voting has begun in lots of states. Please get out and vote. Before we go, though, I do want to share a number with you real quick. It's not letting me share my screen. G-Man.
Hang on one second. Let me see if I can help you with that.
But encourage you, give your U.S. senators and the senators that we talked about today, give them a call. Let them know your voice. Share your voice, and let it be known. Here, it should be on the screen now. Can you see that, G? Yeah, so the U.S. Capitol switchboard, you can see the number there, 202-224-3121. Give them a call. Make your voice heard. Call every day if you can. Ask for your senator. Talk to Senator McConnell, Senator Lindsey Graham. There's a lot of these U.S. senators, Senator Susan Collins, Senator Cory Gardner. There's a lot of these folks who are in tough reelection fights right now, and calls may make a difference. You can also get on their website and you can fill out forms and send them emails. I have it on Good Information that they pay more attention to the phone call. So if you can make the phone call and you have time to do that, please do so. Reach out and let your voice be heard, because the only thing at this point that's going to make a difference is going to be pressure from the people.
Yep, I agree. So get those phones to ringing, people.
Absolutely. Well, that concludes this edition of the GD Report. Appreciate, G-Man, appreciate you getting on this so quickly. And
Sure.
Time is of the essence. We mentioned there's 46 days left before the election. And not only do we have the election, not only do we have 3 presidential debates, a vice presidential debate, now it looks like we're going to have the most rushed confirmation hearings of a Supreme Court justice in the history of our country, all within this 46-day window. So a lot of things happening. We'll be back soon to talk about other topics. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in.
See you next time.